You're born, you're labelled, you're measured. You're told what to think, what to wear, what to eat, what to want. Sit still, line up, speak when spoken to. Grow up quick, go to school, fit in, get a job, fit in, buy a house you can't afford, fill it with stuff you don't need, clock in, clock out, and repeat. Pick a path, chase success, climb the ladder, even if it's leaning up the wrong fucking wall. Work, spend, repeat. Trade time for money, trade dreams for comfort, trade your true self for a fake self that you can post online. Fit the mold, don't ask questions. The system doesn't want you to think and feel. It teaches you how to stay in line like a good little sheep. By the time you've hit puberty, you're already programmed to run the rat race. And one day you wake up wondering, whose life am I even living? Instead of being stuck in the rat race, I chose freedom. And in this video, I want to talk to you about taking risks so that you can follow your goosebumps, so that you can come out of your comfort zone, overcome those fears or the self-doubt that's holding you back from the person that's screaming to come out of you, or the life that you dream about. In this video, I'm going to share with you some stories and some simple mindset shifts that have helped me and thousands of my students turn their dreams into reality. Because look, everybody knows living life in that comfort zone ain't so comfortable. You dream about making more money. You dream about traveling around the world, sipping coconuts in Bali or visiting Thailand. You dream about making a difference in the world. You got a message to share, you want to start a business, you want to help people, or maybe you dream about getting healthy, mentally, emotionally, physically, and even spiritually. But the one thing that holds most people back is the comfort. You know, we are pigeonholed into these boxes from birth. We are literally brainwashed to play it safe. But playing it safe doesn't make you happy. Playing it safe, in fact, makes you feel stressed. When you're stuck in that comfort zone, you become stagnant. And that, I believe, is the cause of suffering. But I didn't always live in Thailand. So let me take you back to the first time I took one of the biggest risks of my life. About 23 years ago, I was standing on the corner of a road in the middle of South London with 2 black bags. Inside those black bags, I had all of my belongings. At the time, I was very lost. I had no purpose, I just came out of prison, I was off for drugs, and I didn't know what to do with my life, but I did know this, that if I stayed in the environment, the area that I was living, I was never going to change. And as I stood waiting for my mum to pick me up and drive me out of London about 2 hours away to live with her, I started to think to myself, what if I'm making a mistake? What if I'm supposed to be staying where I am? What if I should be living in London rather than escaping and getting out? Maybe I should face it. But no matter how many times I tried to give up the drugs, no matter how many times I tried to change, I kept repeating those unwanted patterns. I don't know about you, but I was self-sabotaging, going round and round in Groundhog Day. You know, when you say you're gonna change, but then a few days later, you slip back into these old patterns, and it's so frustrating. Narcotics Anonymous says insanity is doing the same things over and over again, but you expect a different result. And I was driving myself insane. So as I stood on the corner with these 2 black bags, waiting for my mum to pick me up to drive me out, and that voice was in my head thinking, shit, what if this is the wrong decision? I had to overtake that voice, and I had to tell myself, no, this is the right decision. Because deep inside, I knew it was the right decision. I don't know about you, but sometimes you feel it, right? It's like a gut instinct, your intuition. I call it the goosebumps. You just know what you're meant to be doing, but the brain is clouded with all these second guesses, these self-judgments, or this chronic self-doubt. And then it talks you out of taking the action. And so I knew that I had to take control of that voice inside my head so that I could start my life all over again. And that's exactly what I did. That voice that was telling me not to do it was the enemy. And I think we've all got that voice that tells you that you're not good enough, that you can't afford it, that you can't do it, that you'll fail anyway, that people will judge you. People will laugh at you. That voice that we've all got going on inside the head, that is the only thing that holds us back from reaching our full potential. And I know you've got that voice because if you're a human being living on this planet, we've all got these voices inside the head. But you are not the voice inside your head. You are the intelligence beyond that voice. That's where your goosebumps and your spirit lies. That spirit is your power. And that is trying to guide you like it was trying to guide me when I'm standing on the corner of the road with 2 black bags. It was saying, Brett, get out, start again. It's okay. You can't do it here. You've got to start all over again. And that voice was trying to guide me, but I had the enemy inside my head telling me, no, don't do it. No, stay. What if it doesn't work out? And so my first message that I want to share with you is that you've got to override that voice by taking the action no matter what that voice says. Think about it. Sometimes you feel like you're going to go and get healthy, you want to go to the gym, you want to get six-pack, you want to get toned up, and you wake up on a Monday morning and you're feeling tired and you'd rather hit the snooze button than wake up 1 hour early before work. Well, that's when you've got to take control of that voice, and you've got to tell yourself that you're not going to lay in bed and I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to pump. Or when you're out with your friends and everybody's eating that slice of cake and you've told yourself that you're not going to be eating that cake anymore, you're going on this healthy diet, and then that voice starts creeping into your head. Come on, I can't be the only one with a voice, right? Telling you, just take the cake, it doesn't matter, we can start the diet tomorrow. The amount of times that voice has tripped me up, especially when it comes to chocolate. But that's the voice, that's the enemy. And I know it might sound simple, like just going to the gym and skipping a few sessions or just eating a little bit of cake, but the more we deny that voice, the more that we ignore those little choices and decisions that we're making throughout daily life, the less that we're going to make the big life major decisions that are going to transform our destiny. And so you have to build this muscle of being in control of that voice. Most people think that the voice is controlling them, and we become a slave, but you're the master. The voice is meant to be following you. You decide what you want to do. You make those decisions and then you take the action, and the voice follows you. You follow the master, not the slave. And so 23 years ago when I did that actually transformed my destiny. I went on to change my entire life, gave up drugs, started a business, wrote a book, and moved to Thailand. Now, obviously, I didn't go from A to B overnight. It was a 20-year journey. The Buddha says you'll come off the path 1,000 times until you realize the path you want to be on. And trust me, I think I come off the path about 10,000 times. I relapsed, I went back to prison, I did so many quote unquote mistakes, but each time I did those mistakes, I realized the path that I wanted to be on. And then I realized that when you quote unquote make these mistakes, they're really there to define your character. If you've got a growth mindset, they're there to help you carve out the person that you want to become. So every mistake that you make along the way, when you make a decision to come out of your comfort zone and follow your goosebumps, in other words, when you take the risk and you will slip up along the way, that doesn't mean it's a negative situation. It's not a bad thing. It simply means that you can get stronger. You can evaluate your behaviors and your decisions and go, okay, next time I'll do this instead of that. And I've done that 10,000 times over the years, but it worked out lovely in the end. That's why now I get to live in Thailand with more time, energy, and freedom to do the things that I want to do. I haven't been in that rat race for over a decade, living my life on my terms and just absolutely loving it here in Thailand. And I'm making this video to share this, to inspire it, because literally the other day when I shared my video about following your goosebumps and living in Thailand, there was a comment below by some young man, and he said to me, I'd love to be doing that, but how do you overcome this voice in your head that tells you that you can't do it? How do you follow those goosebumps? Now, my first lesson or my first message that I want to share is you've got to literally override that voice and take action no matter what. Yes, I was afraid. Yes, I doubted myself. Yes, I questioned if I was going crazy, and you will. But if you take that action because you're aligned with this power, this spirit, these goosebumps, then it should work out for you. It will work out for you. In my experience, it does work out. Your goosebumps, your spirit, the power that's inside you, that's never going to let you down. The voice inside your head, that lets you down every day. Other people, unfortunately, they let you down. Friends, parents, children, because we're just human. But the spirit, that is beyond the humanness, that is never going to let you down. And you must tune into it, which leads me on to my second message. Mahatma Gandhi said that voice is always trying to talk to you. The trouble is most people don't sit down and listen to it. And for me, meditation was the answer. I just sat down every morning like I do today. I still do it every single day for 23 years. I sit down, I meditate, and I reconnect to something that's deeper inside me, rather than all these stories and these imprints and these beliefs and the programs that are in there. We've got thousands of them in there. And that voice that tries to make me a slave, I sit down and connect to the infinite intelligence, the power, the spirit that's within us. And like Gandhi said, it's always trying to talk to us, but we're too busy. We're scrolling so we don't hear it. We're watching Netflix so we don't hear it. But when we get out in nature, when we sit down and we connect and we meditate, take a few breaths, put your hand on your heart if you want to be all hippie, or you can just breathe and just be, that voice will start talking to you. And then that intuition gets stronger and louder. You see, we've lost trust over that because we've let ourselves down. We've allowed people to let us down, and again, friends and family have let us down. So now we've lost so much trust that when we hear that voice and it says, go for your dreams, take that action, change your life, move abroad, we doubt it, we question it, and we stop taking the actions from the Spirit because we've been let down so many times. But we've got to reclaim that power. We've got to remember that that voice inside is never going to let you down. You know, I remember about 13 years ago, when, you know, people started selling online courses and PayPal was new, and I borrowed a friend's credit card because I had no money at the time, and I borrowed £2,000 off her credit card so that I could buy this first online course that would teach me how to be a coach and sell online courses. And it was a big risk. I remember my mum told me that what happens if they just take your money from the credit card, because this was back in the day when people didn't really trust the internet. She's like, what happens if they just take your money and you don't get anything from it? And even my head, I was just like, that's true. I didn't really think about that. My friend that lent me the money, she goes, are you sure you really want to borrow this £2,000? It's a lot of money. To me, it was a lot of money. And but there was something inside me. There was this intuition, there was this gut instinct. I was like, just got to go for it, Brett. I watched the training video, and then the guy upsold me to the £2,000 program, and then I borrowed the money, I put the credit card details in, and guess what? He delivered. He gave me the best course, and it changed my life. Since 12 years, I have been working online, coaching people, learning how to sell online courses in a very authentic way, creating all these marketing campaigns and transforming thousands of people's lives thanks to that course. And the reason why I'm saying it is not to say that I'm a coach. The reason why I'm saying it is to say that I had to take the risk when everybody else thought it was a crazy idea. Again, my spirit was speaking to me. I just had these goosebumps. I was like, that's what I'm meant to be doing. I'm meant to be coaching people. And I had to take that risk. And was there some fear and doubt? Of course, especially when other people share their fear and doubt. Really, remember, when people are sharing their fears and doubts and they question you, what they're really showing you is their fears and doubts. It's because they haven't done what you're trying to do, and they're worried that it won't work for them. And so they project those fears and doubts on you. Again, you've got to block out the noise and you've got to connect to your spirit. Thankfully, that's what I was doing. And I sat down, I was like, is this what I'm meant to be doing? And it was a hell yes. Go for it, Brett. And I'm so glad I borrowed my friend's credit card. I sold my first online course for like £14,000. I gave her money back, and then I've never looked back since. I've never had a normal 9 to 5 job since that day. It was the second biggest risk that I took in my life, and it was incredible. And so I want to ask you, what's the risk that you've been thinking about? Maybe you've been thinking about changing careers and starting again. You've worked your arse off, or you're in a job that you don't like for so many years, and now you want to do something that fires you up, that gives back, that ignites your passion and purpose. That is your goosebumps trying to talk to you and communicate with you to say, yeah, let's go for it. And that's another sign. Like, how do you know if you're not following your goosebumps and you're not taking these risks and you're not living your life? Well, you probably feel unhappy. You're probably going around in self-sabotaging patterns. You probably feel stuck. You're not satisfied. You don't have that purpose and meaning in life. And you're going through the motions. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not here to tell people what to do with their lives. There's nothing wrong with that. If you enjoy that and you can put up with that for the rest of your life, go for it. Personally, that to me is like living in hell. It's worse than a Freddy Krueger movie, A Nightmare on Elm Street, because I love freedom. I love different cultures. I love adventure. I love just being my own boss and doing what I want on my own time without anybody telling me what to do. I'm very rebellious. I can't stand those rules. And I love that part of me. I love that bit about me. Years ago, I thought that was something bad. I should be a good boy and stay in line. Now I've realized that was the best quality that I've got as a human nature, and probably the same as you. If you're questioning the system, if you're stuck and you're frustrated and you know deep down that there is more to life than what you are living, then you've got to follow that. That is your spirit trying to communicate with you. It doesn't just communicate with you in like the goosebumps and everything's happy and it's all fluffy on a cloud. That is how the spirit likes to live, don't get me wrong, but sometimes the spirit will communicate to you in addictions, in depression, in anxiety. It's like all of that is like a warning sign on the dashboard of a car. It's like flashing at you, trying to tell you to pull over and check underneath the bonnet. And that is still your spirit trying to communicate with you. Because if you think about the human nature, we are here to thrive. We're here to feel alive. We're here to enjoy life. We are co-creators. We manifest reality. But when we're anxious, when we're addicted, when we're depressed, when we have these life-threatening illnesses and sicknesses, that is a sign that your spirit is not aligned with nature and the natural gravity of evolution. You know? You don't see trees being depressed because they don't stop growing. They just grow towards the light. They grow as tall as they can and they're strong. And it's the same with you. You know, there's probably flowers here somewhere in the concrete. If I turn the camera around, you'll find a flower. Just next time you're out, look for a flower that literally grows through the concrete, which is fascinating, right? The flower is trying to grow through the concrete. Why? Because the purpose of a flower is to reach the light. It doesn't have any other purpose to reach the light. I believe that's the same as human beings. I believe human beings are part of nature. The purpose of life is to reach your full potential. The purpose of life is to reach the light. And so you've got to overcome that voice. You've got to block out all of the noise from social media, news, your friends, your parents, your family. You've got to take the risk and you've got to build that strength. Even though that voice will be telling you this is a crazy idea, what if it don't work out? And in my experience, what I've realized is that it's a good sign. If that voice is barking at you, don't do this, I'm scared, what if it doesn't work out? It shows that you're trying to grow. It shows that you're on the path of evolution. If that voice, if you're not living in fear and doubt and worry and life is just very comfortable, then you're living in the comfort zone. And again, if that's okay for you and you want to spend the rest of your life living in that same comfort zone, the same job, the same people, the same environment, crack on. For me and for many of the people that I work with, it's just not what we want. That's why I coach people. I show them how to get through these limiting beliefs, these stories that hold you back, because that's the only thing that's holding you back. And so I want to encourage you to take risks. I want you to take a moment to really sit down and think after you've watched this video, what have I been putting off? What am I worried about? What am I nervous about? And I want you to ask yourself, well, what's the worst that can happen? You know, if it doesn't work out, then you can just go back to the original way it was. Like if it didn't work out for me when I left London and I moved out to my mum's like 2 hours down into the countryside, if it didn't work out, I could have just gone back to London and I could have just started again. If the online course didn't work out and the man did take all my money and I lost £2,000, whoopity-woo-wee, whatever that means, who cares? Who gives a shit? I would have just lost £2,000, it doesn't matter. You see, life is a game. We've been trained and brainwashed to believe it's so important that these like stories in our head, these attachments, like if it doesn't work out, my life is over. Your life is not over until you stop breathing. You know, so I'll be taking risks until the day I die. You've got to keep taking risks because that grows your character. Staying in a comfort zone makes you feel stuck, stagnant and depressed. Taking risks, jumping into it, leaping with no idea what's going to happen, leaping into the unknown makes you feel alive. And the last little story I got for you is what I shared in my video not long ago. If you want to go and watch that video, it's somewhere here or at the end of this video. It's called Follow Your Goosebumps, or why I moved from the UK to Thailand. And it was the day that I jumped on a plane. I took a risk with a one-way ticket to Thailand. I had no job, no money, no friends in Thailand. And I went to a yoga school, become a yoga teacher. I got a dream job in a dream location, had a beautiful relationship with a beautiful woman, met a load of new people, and now here I am on a tropical island, 8 years later, living my best life. All because I took that risk. Now here's the thing, that risk wasn't as scary as that first risk when I left London. Why? Because I started to train myself over the years that taking risks, leaping into that fear, coming out of the comfort zone is good. And that is how we are meant to live. And yes, there is voices in your head telling you play it safe. What if it doesn't work out? There is all of that. I'm not immune to that. The people that I work with, the people that I coach, they are very successful, they're smashing it in life, but they still have the fears and the doubts like everybody else. Celebrities have the fears and the doubts. Everybody, actors, famous people, everybody, your friends, your family, we're all going through it. We need to normalize it. And then we need to realize that actually that's just part of life. And we want to start facing that fear. Lean into what you're afraid of. Lean into the doubts that are coming up into your head. Challenge the voices inside your head. And I promise you, over time, the more you do it, you get stronger. Taking risks then becomes easier. That's why that decision to move to Thailand, for me it was a no-brainer. I'm like, well, it worked out 20 odd years ago when I left London. It worked out when I took another risk and quit my job and went for another job. It worked out when I put that credit card details in and bought that online course. These things are working out. And yes, many things don't work out, but I was training myself over the years to go, it works out, it works out. And then when it came to jumping on a plane to Thailand with a one-way ticket to go and drink coconuts on the beach and practice yoga, it was like, duh, this is a no-brainer. And right now, I'm still taking risks like everybody else. I'm about to publish a book without a publisher, without an editor. without a proofreader. I've done it all by myself and I'm doubting it. And I've got the voices in my head saying, oh, you're supposed to be doing something else. Why don't you go and get a job? Why don't you do this? Even now, I've been doing this for years and it still wants to creep in, because the job of the brain is to keep you in the comfort zone. It just likes the familiar patterns. But the job of the spirit is to break free and become your best self. So what are you putting off? What risks have you been avoiding? How can you step into your power and start taking those risks? And again, I promise you that the spirit never lets us down. It's keeping your heart pumping and beating over 50,000 times a day. Your lungs are breathing thousands of times a day. You wake up every morning. That's an intelligence. That's an energy that is pulsating through you, through the trees, through the universe, through everything on this planet. So how could that let you down? But the system, the ego, the voices inside your head, that will let you down. That will keep you stuck, and you will play small, and you'll get to the end of your life and you'll think, shit, what did I do with my life? Now again, this is just me sharing a bit of inspiration, because somebody posted a question on my last video and said, how do I just take risks and go for it? And this is what I would do. Number one, you just act in spite of those voices. Yes, it's scary. Yes, you're afraid. But if you feel the goosebumps, or you feel you want to make those changes, you want to move abroad, you want to jump on a plane, you want to start a business, you want to go up to somebody and ask them to marry you, you know, whatever the risk is, the big risk for you, you've got to take action and go for it. And you get stronger the more you do it. The fear starts to shrink and the risks, they're not so risky anymore. Second thing, you've got to drown out the noise. You've got to ignore everybody else's voices and all the news and the media. Spend less time on social media, more time out here in nature, and more time into your heart. Remember what Gandhi said, the voice is always trying to talk to you, but most of the people don't listen to it. And the third thing, the third and final thing, is that no matter what, you've got to remember that your spirit never lets you down. It keeps you alive. It's been keeping you alive since the day you was born. It is keeping this universe together. It's a miracle that we're on a rock floating in space and nothing is crashing into each other. That is the spirit. That is the organism of reality, which is so, so beautiful. How could we not trust that? But the voices inside you, I don't know about you, the voices inside my head, they let me down. Friends, family, they let me down. Politicians, the government, that lets us down. So we've got to step out of that and step into this. I keep pointing here because to me that's where the power is, and the heart, in the energy and the spirit that's inside you. If you like this video, then comment below any questions that you got, or what risks you're going to take. Tell me what's the biggest risk you're thinking about at the moment, and tell me what you're going to do to overcome it. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. I'll see you in the next adventure. Have an amazing day, and until then, take risks.